pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with a book review of Edward P. Jones's 2003 novel, The Known World. I did this recently during Black History Month as a buddy read with a whole bunch of fabulous booktubers, too numerous to name. I will put them all in the show notes. It's not very often in my reading life that I encounter a work of fiction that affects me so profoundly that I am rendered completely mute. This is one of those books. So in the 10 or so days since I finished it, I have been grasping at inadequate words with which to express how deeply this novel has affected me and why it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's on my top 10 list for sure. I'm coming up for air. I'm not sure that I have come up with that many words, so at the risk of just stumbling my way through a short review, here goes nothing. Let me tell you about the opening premise. These are all events in the narrative that happen within the first couple chapters, so it's not spoilery, and from then on I won't give spoilers. Henry Townsend, 1855, Virginia, a slave owner, dies quite young. I think he's not even 50. His slaves aren't terribly upset, but they are nervous. What will happen now? What will his wife, Caldonia, do? Will she free the slaves? Henry's parents are vehemently opposed to slavery. What will happen? Moses is the overseer. There's another slave, Elias, and his wife that we meet early in the pages. What's going to happen? Henry, against the wishes of his father, had become a slave owner, believing that it was the way to be a successful landowner in Virginia, but also that he, Henry Townsend, had the moral wherewithal with which to be an ethical slaveholder. That didn't work out so well. So here's the thing. Henry Townsend was a freed slave himself. And there were, not very many, but there were freed slaves who themselves became slave owners. And Edward P. Jones has taken that fascinating fact and spun a novel that gets right at the heart of the immoral, unjust, genocidal system of slavery and gestures towards all of its implications for present-day racial issues in America. And let me just share, while we're talking about Henry, to me, one of the most important quotes. This is the only quote that I will read from the novel. Henry had always said that he wanted to be a better master than any white man he had ever known. He did not understand that the kind of world he wanted to create was doomed before he had even spoken the first syllable of the word master. I've just introduced you to a few characters, and I'm not going to tell you too much about other characters. Just know that this is evocative of a sprawling 19th century novel in the way that it's in its scope, in the lengthy titles it gives to its chapters, and in so many other ways. And you are going to encounter a web of black and white and free and slave and ex-slave characters. And part of what's so mesmerizing, morally mesmerizing about this novel is how those connections are withheld, revealed, telegraphed, transported in a sentence or a paragraph 50 or 70 or 90 years into the future and then pulled back to the narrative. The way that Edward Jones plays with time in this novel heightens all of the other powerful achievements of his narrative. Whew. Okay, too many words, Sean. Let's cut to the chase. There's very few heroes in the novel. That's the thing. I would say Henry's parents themselves freed African slaves. Augustus Townsend and Mildred Townsend might be the unblemished heroes of the tale, and they are fascinating characters that I'm not going to tell you anything more about, but that you will never forget after you've read this novel. Everybody else is implicated in one way or the other, and in fact, now that I think about it, even Augustus is not perfect in terms of things that happen within his family. But Edward Jones, he almost won't let you hate anybody, and he makes everybody morally suspect, morally relatable, cast within the horrific ideological miasma, which is a word that one character uses to talk about slavery. So you're going to encounter, for example, a lot of white slave owners who have sexual relations with their slaves or with their former slaves. You're going to see deep friendships between white people and their former slaves. You are going to meet abolitionist-minded white people who compromise their beliefs in the most heinous ways. And you are going to witness moments of tenderness between slaves, romantically or otherwise, that are going to rip your heart out because they are almost impossible to imagine, except Jones takes you there. And you're going to wonder, what is Edward P. Jones up to with giving all these intriguing scenes with combs, handmade combs, and what do the teeth signify? And what is up with all the sweat pooling on bodies that people either drink off their beloved's body or want to drink? And sweat comes from labor, and labor comes from slaves in this book, but sweat comes from desire. And what is going on with all of that? And if you're anything at all like me, you are going to be completely gutted by a scene where you understand with every fiber of your body how vulnerable a freed slave is with a document, one copy of a handwritten document that proves he or she is a free person. And there is a scene that is just going to obliterate you. So that's about as articulate or not as I can get about this book. It's going to stay with me forever. It's a book that I need to reread. There are layers to it and aspects of it that I missed because there was just so much to take in. But this is a book that I will be returning to again and again for the rest of my life. And I feel that this novel needs to become a part of your known world. Thanks for watching.